Okay, let's start sharing. Okay, welcome everyone. You are at the bonus session of the one-liner marketing. Let me just on my screen here. Here we go. All right. Welcome to the bonus session of the one-liner marketing masterclass, the shortcut to your increased revenue. Yesterday, we had a full 90 minutes of training on how to develop your one-liner elevator pitch. And we actually have that replay recording available in the group, in the Facebook group, the one-liner Facebook group. You can access it through all of the emails that we sent you. Just go back and find or just look for the one-liner marketing Facebook group, and you can find the replay there. Plus, I'm going to be sending this bonus replay with the actual masterclass replay from yesterday in a day, as soon as my team has it formatted. And so today, what we're going to talk about is, where do you find your prospects and what do you do in your marketing using your one-liner? And don't forget, we also have a special guest dropping in about half an hour. So I want to get through as much as possible. So this is what you saw yesterday, is your customer sun, which is the worldview of your target market. And what you do is, once you figure out from one of the exercises that we did yesterday, who your target industry or your target, whoever is your B2B or B2C interest group is going to be, you put them in the middle. And then you look at, okay, what are they doing? Where do they live? Where are they going? What's their lifestyle? What are the media publications they read, and so on? So I'm going to go through this one by one and give you all ideas on how to market around this. And I call these spokes of the sun. I call these things like each a spoke of the sun. And here are some tactics. For the B2C, which is the lifestyle, if you look at this top one, what's their lifestyle like? That a lot of them have a lot in common that you could put your marketing in front of. And here's some examples. So, for example, if you're a personal trainer, you can literally go to an indoor and you're targeting moms of young kids, and the thing that you sell to them is weight loss. You can sponsor a lunch while talking about losing weight to moms of young kids in an indoor playground. And God knows, because I spent my life in those in-ground playgrounds, I know. Here's a client that was a downsizing organizer, and this is the Granite Club in Toronto. It's $100,000 just to sign up to become a member. It's like one of these very high elite, high net worth clubs. And I think it's $65,000 a year to become a member ongoing. And she does a talk about how wealthy boomers can save time while moving by using her services. This is another client. She was a wealth advisor, and and I talked about her yesterday. We re-niched her into divorcing women, and we looked up that there was quite a number of divorcing women groups, and this was one of them. For example, it's got like 1,600 members. For example, I think we had found like 22 meetup groups in Toronto alone. And here's a massage therapist who's giving executives a free massage at a golf tournament, because her exact niche was corporate executives in the financial industry, and she would be giving them massages to introduce her chair massage that she could bring into the actual company. Okay. So that's the first way to do it. The second way to get into their world using your elevator pitch is the media and publications. That's the spoke number 2, which is right here on the sun. And what this is here's some examples. This was me. I used to be a regular blogger for a very targeted, women business owner centric conference website. So I used to do weekly blogging so people would see my name. Another thing that I used to do is, again, I was targeting small business owners, and I used to do a vlog. And this was at a time where, videos were still a lot less common, and they used to actually pay for these videos to be shot in a studio and edited professionally and I used to just give them the content. I used to be the spokesperson, and they would actually pay for the production. But essentially, I was their go-to person to do this content. Oh, can you please mute yourselves, everyone? If you could do that. Blogging, obviously, on social media. So anytime, anywhere your target's eyes and ears are, you need to be providing content, you know that. And of course, liking and commenting on the prospect's social media activities is a huge one. And this is stalking online. I don't know if you've done this, but this was my client. He's an attorney, Chip Cooper from Florida. And he and I were trying to do an executive. I was teaching him how to do an executive roundtable, and he couldn't reach this woman. And what we did, her name is Danica. And what he did is he actually reached out to her by mentioning her and she was able to get back to him within a day, and she was happy to connect with them. And she just, gave him her information, and she actually came, and I think she did become a client. Becoming a guest on a podcast. So for example, this is called Fire Nation. I actually paid $5,000 to be a guest. You can do pay to play, or you can do just I actually even hired an agency to get me guesting on a podcast, on many podcasts. And that's how you can convert clients, because you're in front of, but it has to be segmented, and it has to be to the right middle of the sun. Okay. And during COVID, I developed actually 3 podcasts. So you invite them to be your podcast guest, and out of strangers, they become friends, which then they can potentially become clients, which happened to me a lot. And it was part of how I got clients through COVID, really, where, I stopped traveling to the US because I couldn't, the borders were closed, and that's where I do all of my business and marketing. So the third marketing spoke of the sun is called associations and organizations. Now, this is where it takes, this is where it is on the customer sun. And again, remember, this whole thing is a metaphor for the worldview of your target market. Okay, so here's some examples of what you can do in your marketing for these. So the first thing I want to tell you is how to find them. So what I do is whatever's the industry or interest group, you put in either association or organization, and you put in the words chapter meeting and your city and the timeline that you're looking to meet at. And that's where I want you to actually find these keywords to actually find them. Now, first thing, go and join them. Right. And before joining, what I always say is please make sure that you attend a meeting or two. They always allow you to attend as a guest. If they don't, you can call them and ask for a chance to meet with people before. Either they'll have you pay for it, or they'll invite you as their guest. But when you talk to the membership person, they are interested in having new members. So they're going to want to do that favor for you and check them out before you go and actually sign up for a full membership. The next step is really volunteering at their board. I know of clients who their only marketing is being on the board of their target industry. The common mistake that most business owners make is that they volunteer at their own association instead of their target market association. So I am so not interested in, if you are, let's say, a realtor, that you would sign up and speak at and volunteer at and be the membership and the marketing person at your own realtor association. Sure, you might get some introductions. Sure, you might get some references, but why not go to and volunteer with the actual clients that you're going to be having? And by that, I mean, you should be spending your time where your clients are, which is why I'm giving you this whole spectrum of the sun. So even if you're doing B2C, I want you to think about the first activities that I showed you. You're getting into their world. Okay. Be useful to their group. When an association or organization is having an event, their number one mandate is to fill that event most of the time. So one of the things that I've done over the years is I've actually developed content for them around their event. And the example is Barbara Mowat is the owner and the founder of this organization called Grow Your Biz, and it is a women's business networking group, and their conference is called Accelerate. And what I did was I developed a series of interviews with the actual speakers. And the interview series was called Business Failure Confessions from the Masters. And I interviewed every single speaker, and we did a little blurb on the speakers with the actual, the YouTube link to the interview. And then we talked about a link and how to go into the Accelerate registration. So hugely useful. I actually got clients, not just from the visibility, but I also am such a huge contributor to the success of the conference that Barbara has me speak there every year that they have the conference. We have the next one coming up in Vancouver 2024. Of course, speaking, where they network, is a huge, huge one. Speaking is the number one way to grow your business if you can go, especially now that in person is back. Online speaking like this is also fine, but you're going to have to, fill the rooms, and it's harder to fill rooms on your own versus where they, already network. So if you can speak even online or offline, but the person, the association or the organization is filling it for you, that's amazing. Or let's say the meetup group is filling the room for you. Here's something called interview marketing, and that's where you invite prospects to interview series. And so, for example, before there were podcasts, I used to do interview series and just cold invite people and reach out to them and say why and where it would appear and what the topic was, and that I considered them a thought leader, and then they would come on to guest on my show. Invite to executive roundtables. This is something that I do a lot. In fact, I'm from Canada, and I didn't know a single human in the US when I started my business 12 years ago. And the way that I grew now 100% of my clients come from the US. And the way that I did that was I started with these executive roundtables. And what they are is they're intimate groups of 8 to 12 people, I'm going to say, of high level decision makers. So the people that I usually talk to are business owners themselves. Like, I don't want to talk to sales reps. I don't want to talk to employees. These are people who are decision makers, and they make decisions around their own marketing strategy. And so they gather for a facilitated, and I facilitate a discussion around a persistent and costly pain point. So for example, the one that I'm going to be doing in March in Denver is going to be called how to get a 7-figure contract differentiator. So that's what everyone's going to be sharing as a peer. And this positions you as an expert in the solution. And I usually get a sponsor to fill the room of the people. And there's usually a not just networking and building a community in that market, but it's also, seeding for my services. And that's how I get a lot of my sales. And you don't have to be filling them with an executive, but you can definitely, if you're doing roundtables, you could be doing them with moms. You can be doing them with, teachers, whoever's your target. You can have an intimate group of your target market gathered to facilitate a discussion around sharing thoughts around what they can do to solve, what they do to solve the problem. And it gives you a huge idea of exactly how to navigate the language around their pain, to get more insights about their pain, to ask them questions about their pain. It's just invaluable. I can't say enough about it. Here's another way that you can do associations and organizations is you can actually invite people to something called Power Breakfast. And you can have an actual series of them like this, company does, like life sciences, technology, commercial real estate, construction, and there are more people and around the same time, and you can even charge for them. And it's all, the difference is the format is you're talking and they're not talking, like you're teaching and training. So the Marketing Sun spoke number 4 is meetings, conferences, and trade shows. And I don't know if you can see that in the bottom there. That's the spoke of the sun. Now, some marketing ideas in those spokes of the sun is of obviously exhibiting at the trade show. So that's something I'll be doing that. And then I'll be doing at the upcoming. So sorry, I'm just getting a text from Colleen, who's actually joining us in 15 minutes. And she says that her husband is not feeling well, so she's going to be solo. So that's great. We'll expect her in a couple of minutes. And yeah, so I'll be doing an exhibit booth at the trade show. Now, some of the things that you can do at the trade show are, doing marketing to tease people before the trade show, doing marketing to tease people after the trade show, and meeting with them, setting up meetings. So for example, my trade show booth is going to be just offering free elevator pitches on the spot. We have a huge sign-up sheet, like a big giant board where people are going to sign up, and the signage only says free elevator pitch polishes here. And that's it. And that's what we want people to come and just do their elevator pitch polish, because that gives people a really good experience and an idea of what I do. So I want you to think about, what could you do that's experiential, that you could base on what you do for a living. Remember your one-liner at the exhibit at a trade show. So here's what I was talking about, the tease is you can invite them to your booth. So this, for example, is a company called Launch, and they sent a targeted email inviting to the trade show booth with a contest incentive. Are you doing everything you can to engage shoppers? Stop by our booth. And this is kind of what I'm going to be doing as well. Now, you guys are all going to be on my mailing. You're probably going to catch this. And I'm going to be sending you sort of teasers, especially if you're in the Denver market, because this is in the Denver, but actually it's national because it's a national show. So if you're going to that conference, for example, you'll have the teaser campaign aimed at you. Okay. All right. So part of the pre-event outreach, I mean, I am completely against showing up and throwing up at these, trade shows, but you have to do pre-event outreach to meet at the event. So part of what I do is kind of like these lives, but more targeted to what's going to happen at the show. So for example, 5 secrets to getting clients at conferences and trade shows. These are expensive. Like that booth is $5,000, the signage and the help, and the travel, that's going to cost like $10,000. And I want people to be getting their ROI from those conferences. But if they don't have a strategy for a pre-event outreach, and they don't have a way to meet at the event, they're not going to be able to get their ROI back. And I meet so many companies that just show up and throw up. They have, candy and pens on their table, and that is not a strategy. Okay. I want you to speak at their meetings and conferences. This was me at NASDAQ. And this is the poor Suzanne Summers. Of course, she looks so good. And this is only just a couple of years ago. And now she's, RIP, rest in peace. Conference coaching. I do this a lot. And that's kind of what I was describing to you. What I'll be doing is the conference coaching. Now, this was a guy at a conference that I saw, and it was more a local conference, so it was much smaller, but he literally went and bought around that year. It was, and I remember because my son wanted this booth. It was a puppet booth at IKEA. And he was like way too big for that because it was in the children's section. But he literally put this up, and he put this handwritten sign saying business coaching, innovative help for 5 cents. And he literally had a lineup. It was hilarious. And so it works, right? It works. And again, publishing books has never been easier. I want you to put together maybe 10 of your articles or anything, any content that you have. And it's just never been easier if you have a training or a webinar that you've done, or if you have even an interview. You can literally just monetize it by making it into a PDF there. And I use Kindle, digital publishing. And I wrote, the last book I wrote was How to Make Anyone Like You in 7 Seconds or Less. And I write them because I do TV appearances, but you can just write the one and make it around your core competency, make it around your one-liner. So your one-liner, which is really the base of your entire who you target, what your specialty is, what problem you solve, and how you position yourself, has to be in every single one of these tactics that I am showing you. Okay. And that's how you're going to use your one-liner. And in fact, why not make your one-liner the title of one of the books? Okay, so we talked about driving traffic to the events of the trade shows, right? And conferences. Now, the next one is other professionals. So that's the marketing spoke, other professionals. So this is reaching out to people who already serve this target market in the middle and their other suppliers. So here's some examples is you could do a cross referral program. This is an Airbnb one. A friend uses Airbnb and they get $100 travel credits. You can become an affiliate. Affiliate marketing is huge. This was a friend who was doing a giveaway and I gave away, I think, was it my book? And, you know, they sell to my list, I sell to their list, and we get an affiliate link. You can co-host an event. This was a co-host. I co-hosted webinar that I did with Jennifer Beal. You can co-host an event. I don't know if you have Patagonia where you live, but Patagonia is a like outdoor clothing company, and they had a pop-up of a food market in a clothing store, which was so bizarre. But the reason for that is because they had the same middle of the sun. And if you have the same target, you can do crazy stuff like this because the same kind of people have the same kind of values that you're trying to reach. And it is super intriguing and creative, the things that you can co-host with, you know, an event with whoever else is in that same space. Okay. So the last one is called your competition. So that's the last spoke of the sun. Who is your competition that does kind of the same thing, but is a little bit different than what you do? And who could you form an alliance with? So I want you to look at some of these. So referral fees, you can have a referral, even launch one if you don't have one, a referral fee program. Some, you know, boards or some colleges don't prevent that, like doctors can't do that, and some health professionals and financial professionals can't do that, but others can. So you can have a referral fee program. Here's the conference coaching that I do. This is what I was telling you. It's going to be like on an easel. There's going to be like huge sign up sheet, and it's going to be at the booth, but you can do this yourself. And the great part about it is that you get a shout out and you get part of the programming of the conference. So this is a really great way to hire your competitor. So all these ladies that you see here, I hired to be part of the buffet, as they call it, the coaches buffet. And so one was, I think was networking, and the other one was digital marketing. So I do marketing strategy. So they're all in marketing. They're all marketing coaches and consultants. We all serve the same middle of the sun, which is, in this case, it was small business. I think it was, yeah, small businesses in Vaughan. And that's what we did, is we collaborated together to be able to do conference coaching together. And now I do it alone as well. So this is another time that I did conference coaching where people are signing up. So this is a huge thing and it really works. This is the last one that I'm going to show you. That co-hosting an event for a cause is Patagonia has actual upcycle workshops. So they actually hire seamstresses to come in and educate people on how to fix their Patagonia jackets or shorts or whatever, because in research, they found that people love their Patagonia so much that they are like flapping in the wind, they're torn, they're like in pieces, but people won't give them up. And I lost it, but I actually did have a purple Patagonia running shorts from university, and I'm 54, guys. It did not look pretty, and I should have come to this upcycle workshop. But again, remember, it's all around the same one-liner, which is their one-liner is all about saving the planet, making it better for the next generation. And the upcycle workshop was exactly in line with that, positioning that strategy, that whole one-liner approach. Okay. All right. So what do you do with all this is you calendarize it. You put it on a whole year, or if you want to just do 6 months, that's great. But what I want you to do is I want you to put in all of the different tactics that you're going to do per spoke of the sun, according to which month, how much it's going to cost, and then total that cost. So this is in effect your marketing plan. So here's what it would look like. Now, this is a bit of an eye chart, but this is what I did imagine in 2012. And at that time, the majority, I mean, I had a much lower revenue. So the rule of thumb I like to see is 10% of your revenue should be your marketing dollars. And what I did there is most of what I did was free or near free. And you can see that we were all, I was doing speaking and I was doing guesting and I was doing memberships, and most of that was free. And you doing JVs with competition, other professional joint ventures, and so on. So that's what I want. And so I'm going to actually stop share because our special guest is here. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, welcome, welcome. Everyone, I'd love to introduce you and thank you for being here, Colleen. I know that Bob isn't feeling well. I'm so sad not to have him. He's a force of nature, and Colleen is the first person that I met, and then she sort of like dragged him in, and we'll let her tell the story. But thank you for being here. Colleen's had a lot of success with her husband in the last year after our work together. And I wanted to invite her because a lot of people are wondering, first of all, why niche, why focus? What does it do? Like, what the heck, So do you want to, first of all, do you want to introduce yourself to these fine folks?
Sure, I know some of you, so
Ah,
I'm super excited to be here today.
nice.
Um, Thank you very much for inviting me, Charla. It's a great opportunity to give back to something that means so much, and to be a part of growth for small businesses, which is really a passion of mine. Um, on the side, instead of just growing mode, it's how can we all grow together.
Yeah.
So niching, good question. Um, all right, let me introduce myself. My name is Colleen Banyal, and I'm the CEO of Mode Studios. We are an experiential agency. We work in the pillars of brand activations, architectural installations, and online engagements. So it's a pretty vast areas, and we're like a boutique, so we do really super special things, blending technology and storytelling and uh, brand environments all together into one space.
I
And
told you were famous.
thank
Sorry, I
you.
cut you off. Go ahead.
I'm famous in a very small group of people, so it's like in my house I'm the most famous person
No,
here.
but I told him about the name. I name dropped. I said, like they work with famous people. So, tell us about
Thank
how
you.
it's like.
Yes, so we're currently working with Disney, and we just opened Christina Aguilera's Las Vegas residency. We designed the production for that, and this last year we've also worked with Billy Joel and Blake Shelton and a few other music entertainers. So yeah,
Nice.
no, it
Awesome.
it works. I like to say that we're like this, and they're over here, and I'm over here. So
You stay as far away from the
it's
fame.
like, stay out of the fray. Yes.
That's amazing. So, how did you come to hire me? So, talk about where the business was before we met, and then what made you make this decision?
We were so obviously being an experiential and event based agency, the pandemic literally pulled the rug out from underneath us, and we were struggling. During the pandemic, we pivoted, like many other people, to online experiences, which sort of boosted us up for like 21, and then 22 we crashed harder than we did in 20. So we kind of crashed, went up, and then crashed again. And my husband and I work together, which is great on a lot of things, but being in the same job and the same business during the pandemic was not necessarily the most comfortable thing for us. And we had to hustle a lot. Um, uh, I think I met Chala through some Capital One classes and through WeBank experiences. I saw her speak a couple of times, and she talked about niching, and that was one of our biggest problems is we can do anything. Like seriously, we can do anything, and we do really big anythings all the time. But we don't know how to express that to corporate members. And inside the WeBank environment, we were having a really hard time having discussions that meant anything. And Chala was really helpful in getting us to really understand where our value was, but also understanding the process of doing your research, building the right relationships, not just any relationship, but finding the people that are going to be able to hire you and building relationships with them and how important that is. And the reason why that's important is because you then are able to have the conversations to find out what their pain points are. And Bob and I, we fought Chala tooth and nail on this one. We had 100 excuses why we would never be able to find out our clients' pain points. And I'm sure you can all relate to that. How the heck do you do that? Right? But when we really started listening to her and paying attention to what she was saying, we got little nuggets of information that enabled us to build solutions for our clients that we could then talk about, that they were then like, oh, right, this is how we can hire you. This is what we can do for you, or this is what you can do for us. And that has enabled us to really get in the door, have the conversations. And in 2023, we set up, we're currently negotiating contracts that we set up in 2023, but we got paid for all of that work while we're negotiating these contracts. And that doubled our income over 2022, just negotiating the contracts that we're working on now.
That is so cool. So do you remember Bob told a story? So Bob came, talk about Bob. He has hair that matches Colleen's glasses. Like these are colorful people. And so he came into our roundtable last year where were we? Nashville? I think we were in Nashville. And he told a story of how every year you would go to these, and you were even getting an award that year. So congratulations again. But he said, Chala told us you can only pick one industry and one problem to talk about. Do you remember that? Like, do you want to talk about that? Do you remember what that was?
We built a capability statement around one problem and around one industry.
What was it?
It was the auto industry. Yeah. So we had done a couple of projects inside the auto industry. We thought we could highlight that. We also saw that their problems were across the board, that everybody was having the same pain point, and how can we fix that? And we got more response than we ever have at this conference. We had meetings that followed very shortly thereafter, and I signed an MSA this year with one of them to move forward with work.
Did they ask you right away? Did one of them ask you right away to sign an NDA or something like that?
Yeah, on the spot.
On the spot, right? Yeah. And do I remember correctly that he would sit down and say, car shows are dead or something like that?
The auto show, yes. So one of the things that we did within the auto industry was we designed booths for auto shows. So that was, and they had changed, the auto show now has been canceled. So it's literally dead. And they're trying to move the auto show experience to other conferences, but they weren't thinking about what they wanted out of the auto show and where they could get it besides other conferences. So a lot of them, especially the electric car options, all moved to CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show that happens in Vegas every year. And we were able to put out some ideas and give some feedback that there are a lot of other opportunities out there besides that won't cost as much, that'll save them money, and that will give them a higher return on the money that they do invest.
That's amazing. So he said that it was the first time that you guys or you had like gone to very specific one, pick one focus and then go hit on that one focus pain? Like, is that kind of how you saw it?
Yes, it was super helpful for us, because I was I don't know how many of you are WeBank members, but I was the WeBank star last year, and there were other obligations at the conference associated with that. So I didn't have as much time on the floor as I had had in the past, but the time that I had there was focused and was like, we didn't even walk the floor until the last day. We were literally just in the auto section. And it was so refreshing to not feel like I needed to absorb everything and I needed to be everywhere at once. So just being super focused and comfortable with where we were at and not feeling like I didn't have any FOMO. I wasn't feeling like I was missing out on it, right?
I
Because
beat the lottery, yeah.
yeah, I had a plan and we were sticking to it. So yes.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. Because a lot of small businesses and probably some people here have a fear of missing out when they niche or if they focus.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you're laughing, but I mean, right? You used to. And so can you speak to that?
I'm laughing because we can do anything. So niching was really difficult for us. And again, it was Charlie, you came to Seattle and met with us. We had a whole day with you, and that day was you literally just getting us to commit to niching and committing. And it took a full day of back and forth and really trying to figure out, well, how can we do that and where do we want to do it?
Yeah,
And you took us through a really great process to help us figure
right.
it.
So I remember, so we talked about a couple of numbers in terms of your ROI results. Do you remember what they were? Do you want to share?
I have them. Yes, so from 2022 to 2023, so we hired Chala in December of 2022,
Uh-huh.
and by year end of 2023, our income increased almost 100%, and our net income increased over 100%, which was great. But our gross profit was up almost 500%.
That's incredible.
And but that cash flow, that income allowed us to build the structure that we have now that's going to allow us to go into 2024. So I don't anticipate that these numbers are going to dip.
No, no, they're gonna grow. They're gonna grow. That's amazing. So, you know, can you speak to some of the difficulties that that you faced while working on the niching and the, you know, the structuring of your marketing strategy?
Yes, I think really coming up with the pain points was painful, really painful. um, it was uh, it was difficult to really think. So what we had to do was put our minds into our clients' mindsets, right? We really had to take all the knowledge that we know about what we do and put it aside and really put ourselves in our clients' positions. And we needed, one of the things that we learned was that not everyone thinks like us, especially our clients, right? So we're talking up here and our clients are like over here somewhere. We're not having the same conversation. And so we really had to like pull back where we were at on a creative level and just talk very basically about what we did and find out really what their pain points were and it was really hard to have those conversations with my clients. Like, what are you having trouble doing? Like we did a lot of research. We did a lot of online research to find out sort of conversation starters to get those conversations going with current clients, and then finding the clients, the people that we're targeting, finding out who those people are at that corporation, developing a relationship with them on LinkedIn, and then being able to ask those questions. And it's something that not everybody does, but it was amazing the responses that we got. People wanted to have these conversations. They were interested in having these conversations. Many people didn't respond, and that was okay, because I realized that they weren't going to help us anyway. So move on, just move on to the next person.
That's excellent advice. So talk to me about the sales process. Like, I know that you guys, had your own sales process, but we also, I taught you my sales process, and you took the best of both worlds. So tell me about how that changed things for you.
The idea of chunking it up into smaller bits and selling, we kept trying to sell the whole thing. And
Okay.
so really trying to sell smaller pieces and just getting in the door. And how can you get in the door? What can you do? What can you do that will fit in a space that the person you're talking to has the authority to approve without going to anybody else?
Yeah.
How can you, so if that authority, that spending authority is, say, $5,000, how can you get in the door with a $5,000 ask? And how can you build something around that $5,000 ask that will get you in the door and help you build that relationship and show them what you can do?
Yeah, that's excellent. And obviously it's working really well.
I hope so. It seems to be, yes. Numbers say so.
Yeah.
And certainly my calendar says so.
I know. So I know I'm cognizant of the time. Thank you so much for giving this time. So lastly, I want to ask you, I know that it wasn't easy to get Bob on board, or so that was my impression. I wasn't sure, but so you say as much as you feel comfortable, but for those people who are on the bubble of whether they should hire a coach, whether they should hire someone like me, and you were in a sea of coaches because you're with the, like, WBE has like every coach there is, right? So one, how did you decide which one to work with? And then how did you convince to do that, to work with us?
So the decision was pretty easy, because you've niched yourself into, like, this is what I do, and I don't do everything, but this is what I do. And I was like, very clearly, sales is what we needed help with. That was the missing piece, right? We can do the work. That's not a problem. We had, I can build the business, but I really had a hard time getting over that sales threshold. I've never gone to business school. So we came through this from a creative place, and I used to be a designer myself. So trying to move us from the, let's have a lot of conversations for free and everybody walks away with all the information. How do we stop that?
Yeah.
And move forward and do it in a place where I feel comfortable and supported. And Bob and I have worked together since he was 17 years old. So we have a lot of bad habits, I think. And Charlotte, also, being married, there's a dynamic there. And he was not interested. He was like, okay, you go ahead, you go do this thing. And I'm gonna continue beating, banging on doors and doing what I can. And I said, just give me one day. You have to give me one day. I don't care what you do afterwards, but you have to give us one day. And Chala came in, and Bob, I watched his heart open. I literally watched him go, oh, she's actually saying things I've never heard before, and things that really make sense in a structure that we can do. It was clear that there was a path forward. And
Wow.
he and I both fought really hard against the pain points and the process, and you have to do all the things, and you have to ask for the next meeting. And Chala would say, you guys did great, but did you ask for the next meeting? We're like, oh, no, we forgot about that part. You know, we got so excited about having the actual meeting that we forgot to ask for the next one. And it was like, okay, you're learning. We'll move on. And like, let's do the next thing. And it was going through the process and then realizing, yes, that we do need this step-by-step process. We do need to do the research. We do, you know, and it doesn't take long. And your return is going to be so much better spending a little bit of time up front than just flailing when you get there, you know. It was a big deal.
It was a big deal. Sorry, go ahead.
Think like Chala became a mantra in our house.
Really?
Yes. Think like Chala. Okay.
I did not know that. That's hilarious. Really good. That's really good. Awesome. Wow. And first of all, I did not know that you gave him that give me one day sort of also. I did not know that. I would have been so nervous if I did, but like he's the best salesperson, student, coachee, like, you know, any coach can hope for. So you did what you did. That's your magic right there. It's awesome. Do you have any parting advice for those of us on the call and those who, you know, a lot more who are going to be listening to the replay around when and if to hire a marketing strategist?
If you're clear on what you want to do and you can have clear KPIs on how you want to achieve, you know, what you want to achieve, I think that hiring a coach is a really great way to move forward with that.
Good.
Achieving those goals.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for being a guest, and our love to Bob. I hope he's well.
I hope so too. He should be home soon.
Oh,
thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, everyone, welcome back. And let me just put you back on gallery view. So I'll take any questions now. If you have any questions, I'm gonna, before I do that, let me just give you the what's next slide again. I know some of you have made appointments with me. In fact, I have one right at 2 o'clock, so I'm going to finish on time. If you're looking for more help, schedule a complimentary positioning session, just like yesterday. We won't be doing the elevator pitch, but we will be talking about your strategy, direction about it, a roadmap to what you need to change, clarity on your goals, and decide if there's a fit to work together, just like Pauline and I did a whole year ago. Sign up at repositioner.com/schedule. I don't know why that looks so white, but I don't know if you can see. Oops. Reschedule. It's repositioner.com/schedule. Okay. All right. Okay. And Pamela, go ahead.
Yes. So I know Colleen
Oh.
pretty well because she's in one of my communities, and that's where I met you, as Weedback West.
Uh-huh.
And my question is, like Colleen, I have a lot of value that I can place into a lot of places, right? Because leadership is everywhere. Now, my question is, did they just niche for a while and then they could niche again and niche again and niche again?
Yeah, you can do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because yeah, that's my question is I really don't want to throw away all other audiences for one, even though it might be profitable. It's not part of my long-term plan.
Yeah, it really is about what today makes sense to focus on. So maybe in today's market, there's one hot leadership topic in one industry that's much more, you know, interested in paying for that service today, and it's costing.
Well, I scheduled, and we'll talk tomorrow, because it's not like I need a leadership topic. I have the leadership topic. I've spent 1.5 years building a program. Now I need to find, right? So that's kind of a little different thing. But I think there's, we'll talk.
Okay,
Thanks.
sorry, I'm just retyping, is repositioner.com/schedule is, so Jody, I don't know if that's, I'll just delete that one. So repositioner.com/schedule. I mean, all you have to do is hit reply on the 1,000, emails that you've gotten from us, so. If there are there any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you so much for being here, everyone. All the best. My big love, and we'll see you at the next round. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.